Welcome to Young Adults Guide to Planet Earth, the podcast where we try to figure out life through good conversation. I'm your host, Clayton Hamrick, and joining me, as always, is Sid Warren. What's up, Sid?
Well, I'm just impressed that you memorized that, and Clayton's not going from a script right now, so it's a big breakthrough for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it 18 times, so it's in my brain. We also have Hunter Baumgartner. Hunter, what's going on, man?
What's up? Nothing much. I never have anything to say.
You breathe into the mic a little bit there, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about planning, how to make plans, how to set up for a project you're working on, or life in general, I guess, in a broad sense. But first we have the quote of the week, because that's what we do around here, and I don't have a quote of the week. Does somebody else have a quote of the week?
I can find one.
I thought you literally said before this, you're like, somebody else should do the quote of the week.
I said Hunter should do it, but I don't think he was listening to me. I got you, don't worry.
I mean, you know, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
If you fail to plan, then you don't have a quote of the week, like we don't, so.
This is a very bad representation of planning.
Yeah, it is. But this is a secret built-in lesson. We're gonna use this as an example.
We did this on purpose.
Yeah.
We skipped a week of podcasting, so it feels weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel weird, but it is weird.
I got you. Here's the quote of the week, everybody. Oh, and it just reloaded.
No, what feels weird is it being Tuesday and we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, we usually record on Mondays, and it's Tuesday. But
I don't mind it. It was nice just chilling last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's that quote at, dude?
My phone's loading.
What the heck?
It's funny because like one of the first quotes that comes up is failing to plan is planning to fail.
I know, that's why I said that.
Benjamin
Yeah.
Franklin.
I was like,
You should have just been confident and said, I got it, guys.
well, but I heard you say before this, somebody else should do the quote of the week. I was like, I bet somebody has one.
Wait, here's one by J.R.R. Tolkien. Pretty cool.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
It does not do to leave a live dragon out of your calculations if you live near one.
That makes a lot of sense, man.
It's a little bit cryptic, but
I mean,
yeah.
okay, so if you live right beside a cave where a dragon lives, then you have to build that into your plan, man. Like, what if he comes out of there and tries to eat you one day? You have to plan for that.
And the dragon could be like that big thing that you have to do in like a month, like plan a wedding.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's metaphorical, but
Yeah.
I mean, I was just saying.
I was just adding another example for people to apply to their lives.
What are your dragons? Hunter, what are your dragons, man? Okay, let's not get into this.
Well, that's like a book called Eat Your Frog, and like I've never listened to it or read it,
What
but
about
my parents
dragons?
have, and like the whole point of it is to like every single day take care of the biggest thing first,
Yeah.
which that kind of ties into planning, like
Yeah.
plan your day out, find which things are like you're most scared of or what are the biggest tasks, like knock them out first. I think
Yep.
that's what that book's all about. If you want to read it, it's called Eat That Frog.
Cool.
Eat that frog.
All right, so before we go any farther, let's talk about real quick what it means that we are now in season 2 of the podcast. It was kind of an arbitrary thing that we did with ending season 1 and starting season 2, but what does that mean for us?
Well, we've kind of made it symbolic in a way because we're like doing a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of changes. I feel like we're upgrading as
Yeah.
well.
We've got 20
we're
episodes.
rebooting the system and upgrading to version 2.0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Matrix 2.
Yeah.
Like after Neo saves everyone and
That's a pretty desolate
resets the thing.
thing.
He doesn't reset it. He actually
I'd rather be in the Matrix.
he doesn't
personally.
reset. He like what's it? Not a revamp, but like
Cool, dude.
better than the
Well-
previous, but not the same. It's something weird.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about our new schedule?
Yeah, okay, so we're still releasing the podcast every Wednesday,
But you get more.
but there's more than just the podcast when it comes to the Young Adults Guide to Planet Earth now. We have other things that we're going to be creating and releasing. So what are we doing, Sid?
Well, on Monday, you get a teaser.
Monday. We're gonna tease you.
And the teaser is usually gonna be related to the podcast, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
thank God.
we'll just talk about. We'll just let you know on Mondays what we're gonna be talking about on Wednesdays.
That way you can get excited, tell every single one of your family members
Yeah.
and every single one of your friends, every single one of your acquaintances about the upcoming
And
podcast.
kind of the point of that is, like we say, this whole podcast is a conversation. So maybe we're talking about a topic that you kind of want to read into before we talk about it, and then you can come into the podcast with maybe you've done your own, not research, but like you have your mindset ready to hear the conversation.
Yep. So the newest thing is on Tuesdays. One of the three of us, if not all of us, are going to be releasing a like fun little video that it ties in with like our theme of the Young Adults Guide, like learning, creativity, adventure. But it's not an hour-long podcast. It's probably what
5 to 10 minute video,
Yeah.
and those are
Yeah.
gonna be over on YouTube. So
we
go
want
look at
to
those.
we want you guys to see our face and like get to know our personalities, and also like give you something that's more digestible because I know a podcast is
Yeah, sometimes it's not
difficult.
easy to share a podcast with your friends, but maybe
Yeah.
if we make a cool little video, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, more shareable stuff.
So the podcast is still going to be released on Wednesday, so that's what's going on then. And then we're going to be... Do you guys want to, like, take some of these? I don't want to, like, read them all.
Just keep going, dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
just keep going.
So Thursdays, we're going to be releasing a blog on our website.
So, yeah, we have a new website, Young Adult Guide. There's no S because that was taken, but that's okay. So if you go to www, you don't have to type that in, but, the old-fashioned people might want to type
Whoa,
www.
make sure to type in https://. That's the most important part.
We don't have to do that.
When I was a kid, I used to type that in because I thought it made my computer faster. Like before
Well, it doesn't.
every URL. Yeah.
You can just type youngadultguide.com and you'll get there, and that's going to be home base for all of our content. So our videos will also be available there. They're going to be hosted from YouTube, so it'd probably just be easier to go watch them on YouTube. Our blog will be there. You can go there to listen to our podcast. And
Yeah.
so this is the type of content that we're going to sit down, write a little, 1,200 word blog post, whatever. A little more casual writing, just stuff from our head.
It might be about the podcast too, because I could see some weeks like kind of regurgitating some stuff and like
Yeah. So then on Friday, we're gonna release just a little clip. Is that what we're doing on Friday?
I wrote down highlight as like a way to put
Okay,
it.
highlight. Yeah. So we're gonna try to find a little highlight from the podcast of that previous Wednesday, somewhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes long, and release that separately on our YouTube and Instagram so that you can have something to share. So if you like the podcast and you want to share it with friends or family, but you don't want to be like, hey, listen to this hour-long thing, you can say, hey, listen to this 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
So that's our season 2 announcement and some things to be excited about.
Yeah, there will be some cool branding aspects. We're going to try to take some pictures and come up with some new logos and stuff like that. But that's all on our end. Nothing too major there.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Stop laughing at me, dude.
At some point in the future, I want to talk about our new like I don't know what to call it, like bubble map type thing.
Oh, yeah, so the pillars, we have what we're calling the pillars of Young Adults Guide to Planet Earth.
Not the bubble map.
The bubble map of Young Adults Guide to
Pillars
Planet
is
Earth.
a lot better.
So these are things that just guide our content, and we'll go into this on a future episode, hopefully, or maybe write a blog post about it or something, but we're just trying to answer. So these pillars are things that our content is about and what we want our content to be about. So like creativity, adventure, curiosity, things like that. We want to just make sure that we're focusing our content towards, just a few ideals so that we don't go crazy and talk about literally anything and everything.
I guess in a lot of ways the pillars are kind of for us like as guidance, but it helps our audience understand like more about who we are too.
And I think with this change, this is not like something we're trying actively to do, but it's a possibility that the podcast will become slightly more casual because we have all these other forms of content that we're creating. So the podcast is more of like a longer form of that video and a longer form of that blog post where we can kind of just be friends and have conversation and not have a ton of structure, and you know, it's more conversational and stuff.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I mean, you
we'll
can
see
tell
where
that
it goes.
we're trying some new things. We're trying to kind of branch out. We really want to start embracing that, you know, our pillars, which we want to produce something that like has meaning, has value, not something that just like is us talking.
Yeah.
So that you're gonna kind of try to, we'll utilize more planning, we'll utilize more purpose in everything we're doing.
Yeah.
And I hope that is portrayed like, you know, through the content we're releasing.
Yep. So also, this is a good transition into what we're talking about today, which is planning and like how to come up with a plan when you're starting something new. What are the steps to take to come up with a new plan? And the reason I say this is a good transition, a lot of times when you're like trying to plan something big, it's easiest to do that when there's a big change happening. So, I mean, this isn't a huge change, but we took a week off from the podcast. We branded it. We're coming back with season 2, so it feels like this big event. And that makes it a lot easier for us to come up with a new plan because it feels like a significant thing, right?
Mm.
So that goes into planning for me. So what are we talking about with planning today? Like, what do you got written down over there?
Well, I wrote down just some like high points. You just said about like what are the steps to making a plan?
Yeah.
We can just start with that, I guess.
Cool.
So first step, there has to be a goal, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think goal setting is, why would you plan unless you have a goal?
Yeah, what are you
right?
planning for?
Yeah.
So once you have your goal, I wrote down here like having a planner or some kind of calendar, because for me personally, if I try to organize information in my head, it gets swallowed up by the 1,000 other things that are going on in my
Yep.
head. So having it down on paper is really important, or, you know, having it just somewhere that's outside of your head that's stored, like whether that's like a Google Calendar or like a little day timer, daily planner type thing. I think just that like can kind of take your planning, make your life a lot more organized. Just that one little change if you don't have something like that right
Mhm.
now. But so getting to the goal though, I guess the first step would be to just kind of get your ideas down, maybe brainstorm a little bit about how you can. Am I thinking right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting a little off base. I want to make sure we're sticking to the whole plan theme.
So I think like when we had this idea of like, let's do season 2 of the podcast, let's kind of take a step. So the first thing we did, we kind of took a step back and we're like, what is this podcast? What could we be doing to increase our presence, whatever. And then we, through that brainstorm and through just thinking, we were like, okay, let's just try to release more content, more different types of content. So that's more of like a problem solving thing.
Yeah. And the important part of that is that we took that time.
Yeah.
Because some people are just like, I'll get to it when it gets there, and before you know it, you're facing that goal or that time when you needed to be planning for, and it's there, and you just have to throw crap together. But if you like a week before, you just say, okay, the next hour I'm just going to sit down with a piece of paper and I'm going to figure it out. Like sometimes that's the difference between planning.
So
and
one
not
big thing we
planning.
did, was it last week or the week before, we sat down with a big desktop calendar and we came up with the next 2 months of podcast topics.
Yeah.
Which previously we kind of, sometimes even up to the day of, had no idea what we were talking about that day, or we did our D20 episodes and it was just kind of a crutch for us. And really it just took, we did that in like 20 minutes. I mean, it was not a big deal. We just had never sat down before and actually started thinking about it.
Yeah. And that, I think it's usually surprising how easy and even sometimes fun it is to plan, because it takes a lot of stress off you. Like having one less thought swimming around in your head is relieving. Like it feels good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that being said, like I really like trip planning, and I mean, I haven't planned that many trips, but like when we go on trips as friends, like we went on a ski trip a couple years ago, I kind of got left in charge of like booking the house and, you know, basically I go as far as like creating an itinerary, like here's what we're going to do at this time and everything. And it is fun to me because I get stressed out when I don't know what's next. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't like that, but even if you're not like that, it helps to know what's coming next, because then you can prepare for it.
Yeah.
So even if you don't get stressed out, it's like, it's a good practice in life, I think.
Yeah, it simplifies things, and who doesn't like things that are simple?
Yep. Hunter, have you ever planned anything, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
But most of the time, what pisses me off is I plan it and it doesn't go as planned.
so how do we stick to a plan?
Well, most of the time, it's not me sticking to it. It's somebody else not sticking to it.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
And that's what I would rather just somebody else make a plan and me follow it than me have to make a plan and no one else
Yeah.
follow it.
I think that's a good thing to know about yourself is like evaluate yourself. Are you the planning type or are you the following the plan type? Because while you should learn how to make a plan, because there are some things in life that only you can plan for yourself. Like know when to follow. Like somebody else has already planned this out for you. Like a good example of this is like when you go in as a freshman in college, and they have listed out like here's what you should take this semester, this semester, this semester. You should probably follow that. I mean they've literally that's their job is to give you this plan of here's what your every semester looks like up until your senior year. They've already done the work for you.
Yeah.
But then, for example, going with the same thing, you have to plan how to get your assignments done in each class. So you've taken their plan, you've applied for these classes, then you get in your English class, he gives you the syllabus. Now it's up to you to sit down and make a plan for the semester. Like, when are you going to start working on your final research paper and, all this stuff. So it's good to know when to make a plan and it's good to know when to follow a plan. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. I personally, when I was in school, they would say, like, print the syllabus out. It's required. And I would do it. And then I would, like, never look at the syllabus again. Except for my last semester in college when I turned into, like, the world's best student because I had to.
Yeah.
And I used it a lot then.
Dude, but think about that. When I did the same thing. My last semester, I turned into like the best I'd ever been.
Yeah.
As a
You have to because
student?
those capstone courses are,
Oh, dude, the capstone courses,
they murder you, man.
they're ridiculous. But they make you feel confident in yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And they make you feel like,
Yeah.
Make you feel like an adult, man, because you're taking
Yeah.
on that responsibility.
like
Yeah, because
freaking-
I had to plan. It forced me to, like, take these good practices and, like, actually implement them in my life.
yeah, like standing in front of people and giving a presentation with no help.
Yeah.
All from memory.
You have to plan that. You can't just get out there and
yeah,
bullcrap.
you can't bullcrap.
And-
And I had to do that. I
Some
had to
people
plan.
try
Yeah.
to do that, but, like,
And they
throughout
look
the
so
semester,
stupid.
you realize it doesn't work. And by the end of the semester, you're like sitting in the library for 2 hours every day just planning for the next
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I did that for some of my classes because it was just like, that's a kind of classes,
Yeah.
oh, who cares? But like when you're getting graded on your presentation and then like if you don't get a good grade on it, you could possibly fail the class.
Yeah.
Then you like turn into somebody else, like Jekyll and Hyde or
Yeah. But you shouldn't just rise to the occasion for, like, a tough class because school's important, but there's a lot of other things in
Yeah,
your
but
life that are just as important.
It's
Like,
so hard to be like, I feel like the worst classes for me are the easiest classes. Because in those classes, I get so like off put by it. And I'm just like, oh, I'll do it later.
Well,
later.
it's like there's not a lot to do, so you don't feel like there needs to be a plan. But like I think that's a good example of the fact that like even some small things in life need a solid plan in order for you to follow through with them.
Yeah.
Oh, I realized that today because, when you neglect the small things, they all build up to one big giant cluster.
Yeah.
And like today, I needed to get gas before I got to work. I didn't do it, and I need to fix the thing that does the change lanes signal.
The turning signal.
Yeah, the turning signal. Yeah, I need to
The
fix
change
that.
lane signal. Is it different in your truck? Because mine is the same as when I'm turning.
Okay, but so it's broken. So I got to work, and then at lunch, I'm going to lunch, and the truck doesn't start. It's dead, and I'm like, what the heck?
man? All right, so just before we move on, do you know how to hold your hand out the window and like when you're turning left, you go straight, and when
You
you're
don't
turning
understand.
right, you
It still
do-
works. It just comes off sometimes. It comes out of the
Oh.
steering wheel.
So like the light works is just like literally
Yeah.
the knob
So
pops
the
off.
thing was like the reason it was dead because the brights were on. I just didn't know it because it's
Nice.
broken, so I can't tell if the brights are on or not.
That sucks.
And it doesn't show on the outside.
Nice.
And it doesn't. The light doesn't come on the brights anymore, so it's really hard to tell if it's on. And then after I got it cranked up, I had to go drive to the gas station on 0, and I was driving through Shelby on 0, like, please just get me there. I cannot do this. I can't like have my truck die on me, and then not have gas to go get gas, and it was just such like.
Gas is such a good thing to talk about when you're talking about planning because
Ugh.
I've run out of gas like 5 times in my life, and it was because of that lack of like
Yeah.
oh, I'm on 0. Need to get gas.
I've
Yeah,
done it
so, like,
twice.
That's the type of thing where we have this catalyst of the gas light came on. Why don't we act on that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like 20 gallons left. The fact that we know there's 20 gallons left
20,
makes it...
20 miles.
Or
We had 20
miles.
gallons, I think, would be
Yeah,
fine.
you're right. 20 miles. The fact
Well,
that we think there's...
I got
20
really
miles.
good in my old Jeep at knowing. One time I was in Morganton coming home from the orthodontist, and my thing said 0 miles to empty. I drove all the way home, which is like 35 miles. I drove all the way
gosh.
home because I knew I had gotten so used to like how much it had left over. I just
See,
knew, so I
I
drove all the
was-
way home.
I was there too. I was at that point. But then, when you go up hill, that's when you screw up.
I know, that's like the majority of times I've run out of gas is because I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
fine. I ran out of gas one time in the gas station parking lot.
Me too.
And all the pumps were filled up, or else I would have been able to like roll to a pump. But I had to stop my car and then get somebody to help me push my car to the pump. It was like the most embarrassing
That's
thing.
the best place to run out of gas, though.
It is a good place to run out, but it was also embarrassing because like,
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, coming back from the lake, I thought I could drive home. Like, within 5 minutes of leaving the lake, it was like...
Oh my god.
And I was like...
5
I
minutes?
was like, no! Because you were in like a pitch blackness
Yeah.
in like the woods. And so I finally get to that town right outside the lake, like Lake James.
yeah.
And I see a gas station, but it's up on top of the hill. So I drive up the hill and like... boop, 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 boop. And I was like... And
Yeah.
it barely got to the parking lot, but the gas station was closed. So I was like, oh,
Oh, no.
well,
No pay at the pump?
no pay at the pump.
That
It was like
sucks.
really old
I've
gas
run into that
station.
lately. I've had to think way more consciously about fuel. I can't call it gas because I drive a diesel. Because there's a lot of gas stations, even though they have diesel, they're still the old diesel pumps, and it's not pay at the pump.
Oh.
It's like a lot of gas stations.
Yeah, that'll get you too.
It's like if I'm ever at Mackenzie's mom's house, I've got to make sure that I have enough to get there and back. Like, so it's actually made me a lot more conscious about it. And I mean, this whole like car maintenance thing. I mean, when we're talking about planning, like creating like a maintenance schedule for your car is another thing. That's like, you got to get good at that. You got to know when to change the oil, when to get it tuned up, when to rotate the tires, and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
that just goes to show like how much planning and scheduling are kind of can kind of go hand in hand. Of like, you have a task that you need to complete by a certain date or by a certain time, and kind of sitting down and getting a calendar out and figuring that out is really helpful, especially like oil changes, man. Like, yeah, you can look at your whatever it is that tracks your mileage or whatever, but it's so much nicer to just have it on the calendar of like, okay, it's been 3 months. Let me look and see how many miles I've been. Because I'll forget, and I won't look at that sometimes, and I'm like, oh crap, it's been 6,000 miles. And
Yeah. Well, that's
so,
that's the way I am. Is like, I'll look at my mileage and I'll be like, okay, I'm 100 over, and then I like just try to get it done at ASAP because I want that off my plate.
yeah,
So like for me, sometimes planning is like my plan is to just do it right now, get it
Yeah.
over with. Like my car.
but that's like a mindset thing. Like you've trained yourself to be in that mindset, and I mean that is planning.
Yeah, true. I just like to tackle things. Like, I hate having things like looming over me.
Yeah,
I like planning, but I don't like planning like too far out because I don't know. It's hard to like go A to B to C to D, and like life happens. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you have to go from A to like A.2, and then like before you know it.
So I think that's where adaptability really comes in.
Yeah.
Of like, you need to when you're designing a plan, and really this. When I think about this, I think about like trip planning, or you're planning a weekend getaway with your friends or whatever. You need to be able to adapt because like stuff's gonna happen. You're just hanging out with your buddies. Like sometimes you might not want to go to the movies whenever you decide to go to the movies or whatever. So just like building things into your plan that help you be adaptable is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, some people can't handle like plans not going their way. Like,
Yeah.
this is how I had it, and like it has to be that way. Like I feel like I've known some like of my friends' moms in the past that have been like
Oh,
that.
my mom's like, I mean, she's not as bad as she used to be. When we did a lot of like historic vacations. We went to, like the most infamous for me is like when we went to Washington D.C. and there's so many things to do in D.C. There's a bunch of monuments to see. There's a ton of museums. There's all of the buildings, the White House, the Capitol, whatever. And I mean, we were there for like 4 days. She had written down, I mean, it was insane. She had written down this itinerary. And like, with my mom, you can't be like, I mean, yeah, we had it written down to go to, I don't know, the Capitol today, but can we just like skip that and do it tomorrow? You know, some people can be like nonchalant. Oh yeah, we'll just do it tomorrow. Like, let's just relax. This is vacation. Like, we weren't like that as a family, and that's just one example. But I think personally, you need to build more adaptability and more, especially if you're on vacation or something like that. You're supposed to be more relaxed and like
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Or it won't be vacation. It'll be like you turning your brain off and moving your body around.
Yeah, but even going back to like something more serious, I think you have to plan that because if you set up a plan to where if you don't 100% stick to it, it just like stresses you out and you don't get your stuff done. Like, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
You need to set up your plan to have a lot of flexibility so that you don't stress yourself out.
Yeah. But then the other side of that, like if your mom hadn't taken the initiative to plan all that, you probably wouldn't have even done half of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's appreciated, but like, and that's where I learned to do that, because I love to plan. Like I said, like I'm a lot like my mom in the way that like I like to have everything written out. Here's what we're doing at this time, but I also really learned to kind of lay back and be like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm a little more flexible.
Yeah.
But also, I don't have kids, and that's probably makes it a lot different. You know, like
yeah, probably. We'll know one day.
maybe.
We got to plan for kids.
Oh gosh,
Got to start putting money away, guys. If we're gonna be smart about
financial planning is another big topic of
Yeah.
like a lot of people our age haven't even started thinking about retirement. But unless you think about it now, know,
if you think about it now or 5 years from now, can make $1 million differences.
$1 million differences.
In
So
40 years.
We were talking the other day about
Blows my mind.
this example of
401k. Everyone get it now.
this example of a guy. I would say IRA, but this example of a guy who opened up an IRA when he was like 20, put $2,000 in a year, which is pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
$2,000 in a year, stopped when he was 30, or maybe he was 22. I think he did it for 8 years. And then in this same example, a guy started when he was 30, but he had to put that same $2,000 in until he was like 55. So one guy did it for 8 years, the other guy did it for, what was that, like 25 years. And the guy that did it for 8 years earlier on in his life, when he retired, he had like 4 times the amount of money the other guy did.
Yeah.
That's just how compound interest works. So
Why did he stop at 8 years?
just because he had done the calculation, he had like $2.5 million at that point.
Wait, in 8 years he grew his account to 2.5 million?
No, he did the calculation to where he knew
Oh, right.
his account would be worth 2.5 million when he was like 65, 70.
Yeah.
So he was like, all right, I'm sure he still did some type of, but he stopped putting it in that specific account.
Yeah. Well, I want to save this more for finance, like the finance episode, but like for me with my IRA, like it's, sometimes you just see these calculators and you're like, oh, it's as easy as just leaving it there, but you have to put your money into something, whether it's like a mutual fund and sorry, I just went out there. And like I don't know, I don't feel good about putting in mutual funds. Like last year I just kind of self-directed it. And that's where I see myself, but as you start getting like 4 or 5 years in, start dealing with like some real money, like that's going to be like some intense like psychological like stress to trade that much.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people just kind of put it in and forget about it, especially 'cause, I mean, think when you have kids and you've got a career, like you kind of just want to put your money in an investment account and forget about it. You don't want to, I mean, I'm not necessarily like that.
No, because like last year I spent like a day, like a cumulative time, probably one day, and I was able to get like 10%, but like overall, like it took me a month to do it, but just like a 30 minutes this day, just like checking charts and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I'm stuck right now. Like I don't know what my plan's gonna be, but I don't know what to do, so I'm just kind of lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're trying to create a plan, sit down, brainstorm it for an hour, and just figure out what the next steps are to take.
You know what? I need to plan that out. Like that.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I mean,
This
and
is
just-
helping me. So.
And just for that type of stuff, like just setting up, like I said, like a maintenance schedule. Like, oh, I need to check my investment account once every X number of days or whatever. And then you're not stressed because you're like, oh crap, I haven't checked my account in 2 months.
Well, what do you reference for that? Like, do you go back to like a piece of paper that says on the 15th of April, like do this?
I
Like,
suppose.
like what would your solution to that be? Because I'm actually interested in like applying something like that.
What do you mean?
Like you're talking about having like a regimen, like on this certain day, like do this. Like,
Well, so like for my credit card payment, I just put it in Google Calendar, and then you can set it up to repeat,
Right.
once a month or whatever. So say you want to check your investment account every 2 weeks, just throw it in the Google Calendar, and your phone will buzz. Oh, go
Mm.
check your investment account today.
okay. I used Google Calendar in the past, and I haven't had a great history with it because when I had it, like I had some really important reminders set, like on a weekly basis. Just
Yeah.
like I think it might have been about reading my Bible or working out or something.
Yeah.
But I eventually just started ignoring, like every time it would pop up, I would expect it, and I'd just swipe it immediately. And for some reason, like my brain just like
Yeah.
stopped
I
registering.
don't like it for like daily stuff like that because it's like you get used to it. But if you're doing something every 2 weeks or
Yeah.
like once a month, it alerts me, hey, credit card payment's due tomorrow, or I have it set for like a week out, and then the day before. Since it only happens once a month,
Yeah.
it's almost like, oh yeah, okay. If it happened every day, you would kind of be like, swipe it away, whatever.
Yeah. I think it was daily. That's probably
Yeah.
my
So I
problem.
think that's something important. Is like the daily stuff is more like write it on your bathroom mirror or something more physical. When
Yeah.
it comes to like digital reminders, it's just so easy to swipe right or whatever.
Yeah. See, that's good for me because sometimes like the little things I'm golden on. I have a little daily planner, but sometimes the big things like I'll just like not cross it off that day, and then I'll remember it next week, and then like I'll have this like heat wave flush over me. I'm like, I just put that off, didn't I? Because like the little things they're really easy, and that's like at the beginning I was talking about that book, Eat That Frog. Like take care of the most difficult things because getting that off your shoulders sets you up to do everything else better.
Yeah.
Personally, if I have stress on me, like I don't perform at my best at all.
See, and that's where I'm a little bit different. Where a huge motivator for me has always been stress, and that's why I'm such a procrastinator. Is sometimes the only thing that motivates me to do anything is that stress.
Yeah.
So I'll put things off almost purposefully in order to like, okay, unless I put this off, I'm not gonna be motivated to do it.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird, but
No, that makes sense. I just think it's interesting that like, if you're listening, you got to find a way to apply this to you because
yeah,
I don't think there can't be like one way to plan.
Yep.
That's like in school when they would always force us to use like this one way to study.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why are you
yeah,
doing
you gotta
this? Like,
tailor it to yourself.
yeah, everybody's got to study their own way.
Speaking about the procrastination thing, that's the blog post I wrote on the
Oh,
website. So
cool.
if you're listening to this, you can go to our website and read my blog post about procrastination. But I want to talk about wedding planning real quick
Oh god.
that's relevant.
because what I've learned with wedding planning, or at least for my scenario, the little things are much more difficult than the big things. It's easy to call up a photographer and book them.
Yep.
But like knowing like by designing the centerpieces or just those little small things, like there's so many of them. That's what's overwhelming is that there's a big number of them. But then the big things is like, oh yeah, we can get this done easy. Like Mackenzie called me one day and she was like, hey, can you take care of the videographer? Like, can you book the videographer? And I was like begrudgingly like, yeah, I guess, whatever. Within like 30 minutes, I'd called a guy and booked him.
Yeah.
It was just so much easier than these small things. Like she emailed me today. I've got to fill out the shot list for the photographer to let her know, like, here's the important people in my family. Like, make sure you get pictures of them. We won't just specific, and it's like that's the hard stuff. Is like the tedious small stuff when it comes to wedding planning.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show too, like the plan is so specific to the scenario and what you're actually planning.
Yeah. What kind of plan do you guys like have a written timeline or anything down, or you just kind of like?
No, we're just freestyling it. And like
Yeah.
now that it's getting closer, and now that we've taken care of most of the big stuff, we really need to sit down, get a piece of paper, and write a checklist.
Yeah.
Because and I didn't realize this. So my sister got married this past weekend. There's so many small things. Like I'm a dude. I don't know anything about weddings, but
Yeah.
there's just so many small things, and unless you write them down and check them off one by one, you're gonna forget something, or you're gonna be doing it 3 days before or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we definitely need to do. Me and Mackenzie need to do over the next week or two.
Yeah. Well, I think this whole thing we're talking about has like much larger implications because I'm starting to work with my family business, and like one of the biggest values I feel like I'm providing right now is coming in and like implementing some like organization / planning things, because right now my parents, the way they keep track of their clients and stuff is all in their head. Sometimes
Yeah.
my dad will write down in his day timer, like, do this, but like as I've started to get more involved in their business, I'll be like, hey dad, have you talked to this person? I'll be like, I don't know. And then it's just like, we're not able to take care of our clients
Yeah.
the right way that way. So now like we have a CRM, and every morning, like you can go in and click and like have a visual snapshot of every
Mhm.
client. And then in their file, we have like all these notes stored. And like for my dad, it's been like literally game changing.
Yeah.
And like, so I just say like planning has implications like much larger than personal, like even in business, like planning in business is even more important.
Yeah. Well, for
And-
that, like, I think another big thing with planning is maintenance on your systems. If you set up this system of planning, because I understand what you're saying, where some people that have owned a business for a long time and they've done it every day for however many years, it just goes by the wayside. They're like, oh, I've done this a million times. I don't need to write it down. I don't need to
Yeah.
have a system for it. Maybe in the beginning they had that system, but they just let it falter over time. So like keeping up maintenance, I mean that's that's kind of metaphorical, but doing maintenance on your planning system is really important too. Just going back to it every month and saying, okay, I need to make sure I stick with this.
Yeah. And you may feel like, oh, it's working for me. Like, you know, it's always worked for my parents. I mean, they've done well, but like I cringe at the thought of like how many, you know, potential clients they could have had that they didn't just like call back, because sometimes like especially in real estate, like keeping up with somebody makes a difference between them just being like, oh, forget it, I'm just stay comfortable where I am, or going with somebody else and sticking to you. And like having this now, instead of forgetting about somebody, they're in our management system and we get to look at them, and if they get past like a few weeks, you know, then we can see that and be like, crap, we haven't contacted this person in a couple of weeks, like we need to have some kind of point of contact with them. So and that goes with personal too. Why does that go with personal? Oh yeah, so you might think like, oh, you know what, I take care of everything perfect, like I'm on top of things, but then like you implement one thing, like maybe you get a planner, or maybe you start using Google Calendar, and I think a lot of us would be surprised at like what a difference that would make for us.
Yeah.
I know for me it will, and I don't have good practices, but in the past I have had times where I like did things right, and it's a better way to do things.
Yeah.
For sure.
For me, it's completely different.
How so?
Like when I plan something and I get it done, I don't get really gratification from it. It's more like, okay, I did it. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But like the weirdest thing for me is like when I have something planned to do, like for like in college when I had to like, I really think it's like what Clay was talking about, procrastinating. Like I didn't do it. I decided to play, you know, games, or I decided to watch Netflix. And the next day, it's due. I didn't have it wrote down. I forgot about it. Oh crap! Get it done and then turn it in. But like, it's just like,
It's crazy too, because so I did that a lot when I was at NC State, where I would just put things off, do them the night before, or whatever. So when I started going to the community college, I remember one of my first classes was just like an English class, and we had to write a paper for it. And my final paper, I decided like the last 5 weeks of the semester is when I'm going to work on it. So like normally old me would have been like, okay, I'm just going to do it all in the last week. So I gave myself deadlines of, okay, this first week I'm going to do my research. This second week I'm going to write my rough draft. And I set up all these little deadlines, and it felt so great. It felt incredible, and I did it. But I always fall back on that procrastination, because as incredible as it felt to do that, and as stress-free as it was, I don't really think it was as good a work as I sometimes do when I do procrastinate.
yes, exactly.
Like sometimes when I
That's what I was gonna
procrastinate,
say.
the stress of the situation gives me so much motivation, and I just like dig into it and work so hard on it for a short period of time. I mean, if you give me 3 days to write a 10-page paper, the fact is I'm going to be spending 8 hours a day, instead of if you give me 5 weeks, I'm going to spend an hour here, an hour there, and then the paper for me seems disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm just like digging into it and focusing on it like super solidly for 8 hours a day, I get better work done. And it's a really weird thing. And so that just brings up the point. Can you like call that a plan? Can you set that system up where like I'm gonna
Plan to procrastinate?
plan to procrastinate. Like I'm not recommending this, but like, is that a thing that
Well,
we
you
can make
can-
happen?
Yeah, I think you can plan around that. Be like, hey, I know this paper's due, and I'm gonna let myself put it off because I know I'll do better. But planning to
sounds
not
so
have it.
weird.
What if your mom's like, hey, I need you for 2 days because we're doing blank.
Yeah.
So
because you have to set
yeah.
out. You're like, okay, this paper's due. I have 3 days to do it. You have to call your friends and family. Like, don't talk to me for the next 3 days.
So that's planning, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean-
knowing yourself. I mean, I feel like is
Yeah.
a lot of it.
Yeah, but
And
like,
just-
but then, like you say, like if things do come up, then what the heck do you do?
Yeah.
So I think that's why you hedge a little bit. Sure, you can procrastinate a little bit, but you have to give yourself enough time for there to be hiccups and bumps in the road.
Yeah. I kind of did that same thing, but like I would like in my last semester of college, I would force myself to like finish like the night of, and my reward for that was like not meeting the due date, but like having just all this time to like not worry about it and
Yeah.
like just play video games and like
Yeah.
chill. And so that was my like
Yeah.
I set my own like faux kind of fake deadline, and like I would like really rush to meet it. That's kind of how I did school for my whole time.
Like, it was the weirdest thing. Like, why is it though like that? Like, why can't we just do it early and then have all that time to not worry about it, and then when the day comes, not worry about it and then turn it in?
Well, that's what I would do.
But like, logically speaking, like, everyone's logical. Logically speaking, that's the smartest thing to do.
It's all
but
about
nobody
motiva-
does.
Not
it-
necessarily.
It's all about motivation. That's what
Yeah,
it comes down
I really
to.
do think it's motivating.
If you can set up something that motivates you, like this is getting into more habit forming, but giving yourself a reward, like I can only play video games when I'm done with this assignment. Like,
Yeah.
Or at least
But-
1 hour of my time is.
but then you
going
have to
it,
dedicate
you know?
yourself to that, because if you don't, I mean,
Yeah.
that I've always had trouble doing that, because I've tried to do that before where, okay, I literally am not going to play League of Legends until I finish this homework assignment. And I'll say that at like 12 p.m. Like, yeah, I'm really motivated to get home today after work and do this paper. And,
And then,
then
like, 6
4 o'clock
o'clock
rolls
comes,
around.
You're like,
I get
what
home, I'm like,
happened?
oh my God, dude, I've had a long day at work. I make all these excuses, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, see, that's a frustrating thing for me because in school I had such good discipline, but then like now we're in the real world, and I feel like I've digressed a little bit,
Yeah.
and I don't know why. I mean, I feel like I'm just more comfortable. School like has rigid deadlines, whereas like
Well, that's the thing too. Like in the real world, you have to find your own motivations. I was talking about this with my instructor last week, or a couple weeks ago, about how, like, I'm in school right now. I have deadlines. I'm pressured by my instructors. When I'm out in the real world, depending on what I'm doing, I mean, I'm going to be pressured by deadlines by my boss. But if I'm trying to do things on my own, like, where's the motivation coming from?
yeah,
So you really have to learn how to build self-motivation. And the best way to do that is while you're in school, set up your own personal deadlines. Say, I'm going to, like, what if you just said at the beginning of the semester, every time my professor gives me a due date, I'm going to finish it 1 day before.
yeah,
So you give yourself a different deadline than the professor gives you. And then you just
Yeah.
and then
that's interesting.
that gives you, that really builds your self-motivation and helps your planning and everything.
Guess it comes down to respecting yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't give myself enough respect.
I feel like there's a dichotomy of persons.
Can you elaborate?
Do
On
you
that
know,
profound
do you
statement.
know what you just said, or did you just say
I
it?
think I know what I said, but I'm not entirely sure.
But
I'm
you know
never
what?
sure of what I say. I just say it,
Well, follow
and then I'm
up.
like,
explain
what did I
it.
just say?
Explain it, please.
Well, in my mind, and what I think I just said is I feel like there's 2 parts of every person, and there's a constant conversation going on between yourself and yourself.
It's a war, man.
And
Between
the
the
There's
good
a
and the
logical,
bad.
there's a
People-
logical side of your brain and an
people like-
emotional side of your brain.
people say angels and demons. Some people say logical and emotional. Some people say left.
Well, those are
and
2
right.
different things.
What?
Angels and demons are good and evil, and within good and evil, there can be logic and emotion.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pointing out the duality of it.
Yeah.
There's always just 2. There's always 2. There's not one. It's always 2 ideas. Like,
Yeah, well,
See,
that's a
that's
good
where
point.
we have to figure out how to create that one where, like, from 4 to 8 every day. No, wait, 8 to 4, or 9 to 5, whatever your work
well,
schedule
that's
is.
the thing. I think you have to have 3.
Okay.
Get it? You're the third.
No.
person.
Here's the thing. You can create the one by meshing the two together. So you've got
Yeah.
the logical side of your brain and the emotional side of your brain. In order to not fight between those two things, you've got to meld those things together and learn how to live within both of those things. So, but what I'm saying is, like, set up a time of your day. Like, here's my work day, 9 to 5. This is when I'm going to be completely logical, on schedule, plan out things.
Yeah. Well, what about keeping yourself like active during that, not procrastinating during those hours?
Yeah.
'Cause I think it's easy to say, "Oh, I'll work to 9 to 5," and at the end of the day, still feel like crap about yourself, even though you kept
Because
those
you haven't
hours.
got anything done.
Cause-
You have to set up goals within your day, and like you have to get specific tasks done.
Yeah.
And
that comes down to planning. I'm just bringing it back to that.
yeah,
Planning
like,
and controlling yourself. It's like controlling and manipulating your own self.
Discipline, I think, is a better word.
I think a big
Yeah.
part. So I read this book, Deep Work, and it's more about like how to sit down and do really deep work and get in the flow state. We live in this world where everybody's used to the 8-hour workday, but that's a really antiquated view of the world, because the reason that existed was because in factories they had 3 shifts, and the day divides into 3 ways, 8 hours. That's the only reason the workday exists that way. A lot of people doing like creative work or writing or whatever, they can get that same work done in 3 hours. But you have to sit down, you have to get in that flow state. And so that's the balance we got to find.
Well, so I didn't read that book. Is there a theory behind like being in a flow state for a full work day? Because then you're like hypothetically more than 2 times as efficient, right?
3 times.
Yeah, I mean, you
Uh,
increase your efficiency,
not an
but
8-hour day.
4 times.
No, he
4
said
times 2.
get a whole work day done in 3 hours.
Oh, he
so
said
what do you
3
say?
hours.
What are you asking?
So let's just say you worked a 9-hour day. So if you worked 9 hours in that flow state, then you'd get 3 times as much done, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get increased work done, but like,
I mean, should you be okay with getting all that done in 3 hours and then just taking the rest of the day off?
I think you can be, because
But there's a lot of people I know that would rather work 8 hours and work like
work more
more.
shallow work. That's what he calls the opposite of that. Like, so, okay, I'm just gonna check my email. I'm gonna get on Reddit. I'm gonna get the same amount of work done, but I'm gonna take these little breaks.
I mean, like, they actually do the full amount of work they need to do, and they do it for 8 hours. And because I feel like a lot more people out there are more motivated by money than anything.
But you get the same amount of money.
Okay, well, yeah,
I'm
I was talking
talking-
about
I'm-
like
I'm not
if
talking
it was
about-
like work based on production.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the whole. I mean, it could be argued the whole world needs to change, because some people that have these 8-hour work days could be getting the same amount of work done in 3 hours. Like, if you're a programmer and you have one task on your schedule for the day, and you can get that done in 3 hours, why should you have to sit at the office for 8 hours?
Well, I think that's why there's a lot more freelance things these days. Like,
Yeah. So
But those people still making more money than the freelancers, though.
yeah.
It's money.
It's because of consistency.
It's because.
but they're not making that's not how it works. If I'm building a website and I work at a company and they give me a week to do it, and I spend 40
that's
hours
different.
40 hours on it,
Yeah.
and I'm getting paid whatever, but I'm doing freelance and I can do that same website in 8 hours, I get paid the same amount of money, but I've just done it in a lot less time.
Well, it all depends on like how much they want for the product versus how much they're willing to pay you to get the product done, versus like for example, like construction work. They don't pay the people for the product. They pay the people by the hour.
But that's way different than what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but like, there's always ways to think about that, though. Like when you talk about 9-to-5 jobs, there's 2 types of 9-to-5 jobs: the one that gets salary and the ones that get paid by the hour. And
We really need to, as a society, question which jobs get paid which ways.
yeah,
For construction workers, you can only do things so fast. If you work fast food, you have to be there 8 hours because people come in the store all 8 hours. If you're doing like creative work, if you're, I don't know, a film editor, or you write novels, or something that you can do the same amount of work in less time if you get in that flow state. So like the guy in Deep Work, Cal Newport, suggests like he did some research on some people who practice deep work, and they would, like, for however many hours a day, turn off their email, turn off the internet, get off of Wi-Fi, and just work, just straight up, just immerse themselves in their work and work. Some of them, and he had these different systems. Some of them would go off for a week and tell their families and their coworkers, like, don't talk to me. Like, I'm going to go do it. And then in that week, they would get as much work done as somebody else got done in 2 months.
Mm-hmm. And then will they take time off at that point?
So here's what it comes into, like, if we did get into that realm, then you're able to do more. You're able to have more hobbies, and you're able to do more things that you enjoy that are still work. Like, for example, like woodworking. I enjoy to do woodworking, and if I could get all my work done in 3 hours and spend the rest of those 5 hours doing woodworking, then I'm getting this enjoyment and this fulfillment, which is then going to turn around and make me more productive at work. It, like, they feed off of each other.
I find that really fascinating.
I love.
Hold on, dude.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I find that really fascinating, and the problem for me though is, like, being self-employed. I set my things to do, and so there's not somebody telling me, like, I want you to get this done for the day.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have no way of quantifying, like, if what I did in 3 hours is enough for a whole day or not.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to figure out.
But see, like, with a boss, they have all their other employees to compare you to, but like for me, I have nothing to compare it to. So, like, I want that because I love that theory, and I think that I could do that, but I don't know how, like, that's practical for me. I don't know.
The problem is, I just think the biggest problem is that once people start figuring out that they can do more work in little time, and those people that hired those people were like, okay, you can do 3 hours of work instead of 5 hours of work. Well, why don't you work? Like, it's all about condensing. Like, if you can have an 8-hour workday, and you find out your employees are only working 3 hours of that workday productively, and the rest is they're just goofing off, you would think that, okay, let them off earlier. But they think of it differently. I feel like they would be like, oh, if they're goofing off, then I'm going to stop paying them for that goof off period.
That could never work, because then nobody will work for them. The economy would all adjust around it. I mean, if you're getting the exact same amount of work done in 3 hours that you are in 8 hours, but then some employer tells you, I'm going to pay you less, you would quit, and so would everybody else.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, think about it this way. If you know that somebody can do, like, if you hire me to do yard work, and you're hiring me by the hour, all right? But you know I can do it in 3 hours, but I do it in 8. Why would you let me do that?
I wouldn't. This is totally different.
I know, but you have to understand that when you say stuff like this, like, you have to specify. Like,
it depends on what industry you're in.
Or what are we talking about here?
We're talking about salary. You can't do this hourly.
Yeah, okay.
And if you do it hourly, then you just have to pay people more per hour.
Yeah,
which employers would do, because if every web designer in the United States of America was like, I can do the same amount in 3 hours than I do in 8 hours, and then employers are like, okay, well, then I'm just going to pay you less, then every web designer would quit their job. Then what are the companies going to do? They've got to adjust to it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but certain things, like somebody working on my yard, they're not going to come out here and mow my grass for 8 hours. That literally doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Is some jobs are like that. They'll take advantage of that.
Well, that's why, like, lawn care and stuff, they pay per job. It's not like how long they're working. They don't pay per hour.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Is the key important thing is that. And how you pay the person by product, or do you pay the person by time? Because if you look at industries that pay the product,
most things are paid by product.
Yeah, even
things that you think are paid by time are actually paid by product.
Well, to make that product, it's paid by time. But to make the product, it's just all the way how you look at it. It's really hard.
But say I'm getting paid $10 an hour to make something, and it takes me 8 hours to make that thing.
Yeah.
Or say it takes me 4 hours to make that thing, and I'm getting paid $10 an hour. You're getting paid to make the product.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying,
I mean, in that theory, no one gets paid hourly by time.
Yeah, I know, but
because everybody's creating a product.
Sorry, my things keep sliding over. Come on.
What are you doing?
It keeps doing this. I can't get it to stay.
You don't have one of those.
No, I don't.
Too bad, man. Deal with it.
Well, so how can we tie this back into planning? Because I feel like we're getting a little off track.
Well, I think I think we should be encouraged to try to do these things. I think we should try to figure out how do I get 8 hours worth of work done in 3 hours, and that comes with planning.
Yeah. And that goes to say, like, we should plan for our hobbies too. Like,
Yeah.
plan for your work for 3 hours, and then don't just follow that up by watching Netflix. Like, follow it up with, like, your hobby, something that you're passionate about.
Well, so like throughout my 8 hour workday, sometimes I find my work perusing. What did I just say?
Reddit. Oh, you just now?
Anyways, I'm gonna back up because I don't know what just came out of my mouth. Sometimes I find myself on Reddit looking at like the woodworking subreddit. But why can't if I sat down in the morning and said, okay, and I can't do that. I mean, I work 8 hours a day. I can't tell my boss like I'm gonna come in for 3 hours, get the same amount of work done, and then I'm gonna leave. But in a world where that could happen, I would go in for 3 hours. I would not get on Reddit. I would not get on whatever other stupid not watching YouTube videos. I would do 3 hours of work straight up. And then I would leave there, and then because I could plan out, okay, well, I'm gonna leave there at 11 o'clock, and I'm gonna go get on Reddit. Now I'm gonna go watch YouTube, and then an hour later, I'm gonna actually go do woodworking. I'm gonna go do my hobby.
Yeah.
But that only works if you figure out how to get the work done in less time.
Yeah.
And that comes with planning. Like, if you plan to do that, then it's going to happen. Does that make sense?
Well, I think this concept is really relevant for any of our like listeners that are still in school,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you don't go to school based on time. Like,
I mean, you go to classes based on time.
Yeah. Well, in high school you do, but like when you're in college, you just have to be at your classes, and outside of that, you don't. Your teacher doesn't say you have to spend 5 hours doing this. You just have assignments, and if you can complete them all on Monday in 4 hours and have the rest of your week off, well, that's on you.
Yeah, and so like I remember an advisor told me when I started school, if you have a full class load of like 15 hours, you're gonna go to class for 15 hours, and then you should be spending like another 30 hours a week. Shoot, it came out to a full work week, 40 hours, but that's just like baseline. So you can definitely figure out how to pare that 40 hours down to 30 hours or 25 hours, and then you got 15 hours to pursue other things and learn new things. I mean, that's what we're all about here, is learning new things and staying curious. And this even works in real life with somebody with an 8-hour job, because now you're getting home, you want to pursue your hobbies, you want to learn new things. Well, you got to figure out how to do those things in less time.
Yeah.
And not get sidetracked and all over the place.
Yeah. Managing time is like probably that's what planning's all about, really.
Yeah. Man, if I was better at time management, my life would be a different thing.
That it goes for everybody on this planet. Like literally it does.
Yeah.
It's important.
Time is money.
I don't think we need to think about money though, because I think money needs to be taken out of the equation when we're thinking about this.
Yeah.
Because in this new world order that I'm thinking about, like money works differently, right?
I thought you were gonna go somewhere different with this, but go ahead.
I'm just saying money work. Like,
You want it to be like freaking, yes, I know exactly what you want it to be. Star Trek.
no, that's not even what I'm saying. We are living in an antiquated society of 8-hour work days, and the thing is, employers know that. But we're just so used to this tradition and this system that, I mean, there's really no way around it. Like, everything is planned around the 8-hour workday, and I don't blame an individual company for having their people there for 8 hours a day. I mean, it's just based on tradition. But, I mean, don't you imagine in 50 years, 100 years, like, that could change easily.
Well,
I
how would you hire somebody then? How would you go about hiring somebody?
What do you mean?
Like, all right, let's just make up a random thing. Like, you have a company, and you need to hire somebody for what? What do you need to hire them for?
To build a widget.
All right. How do you hire that person?
I'm going to hire you to work at my company for 3 hours a day. I need you to produce this many widgets in 3 hours.
Are you going to pay them hourly or salary?
It doesn't matter what I pay him. If I pay him salary or hour, what's the difference?
Let me think about this for a second.
Okay, let's make it 4 hours. Let's make it 4 hours to make it easier.
Yeah.
If I'm saying you come to work 4 hours, and okay, previously 10 years ago when we had 8-hour work days, I paid you $10 an hour. Now I'm going to pay you $20 an hour. Because you're working less time, you're getting the same amount of work done, so why would I not pay you the same amount of money?
Oh, I get what you're saying.
But and I'm telling you, the economy would shape itself around that. But businesses can't just be like, oh, we'll just pay them what we used to pay them when they worked 8 hours, because no one would buy that. No one would. Everybody would quit their job and be like, no, we're going on strike until you pay us what we're worth.
Yeah, that's true. It's just really hard to shake that foundation.
I feel like companies almost do plan for that. Like the reason they hire people for 8 hours outside of the tradition, which is probably the real reason, is because they know that people, and they have to make people work 8 hours in order to get like 4
in
hours
order
of
to get 4 hours.
productivity.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all of this mindset thing, where if we just like tomorrow switch to a 4-hour workday, everybody would have to retool their brain works where, okay, I can't procrastinate today. I can't get on Reddit. I can't get on YouTube. And I'm not saying it'll be easy, but I think over time it would become easy.
Yeah.
Because your mind totally shifts to where, okay, I've got to get my same amount of work done in 4 hours. I can't be dicking around. You know?
I think it would be healthy.
I can see that now. See, that makes more sense to me now. That helps me understand what you're talking about. Because you're right. People do, like, dick around and work.
Well, and the thing is, too, like, employers know, most smart businessmen and employers know, if their employers are happier, they're going to be more productive. And if you have worked 4 hours a day and then you've got that extra 4 hours to, like, pursue your dreams or whatever, you're going to be a happier person and you're going to be more productive.
I feel like that's what kind of Google does, because they have they have a gym on campus. They have like hobbies, like yoga and stuff on campus.
Yeah.
And they understand that if they foster these, like, this health and stimulate people's brains, like, through exercise, like, then when they do sit down to work, even if they're working less hours, like, based on like a 9-to-5 job, they're going to be doing better work.
Yeah.
Because they're happier.
And a lot of tech companies are doing this, and like that's why you can look to these tech companies to figure out, I think, how the whole workforce is going to be in the future, because they are really the ones that are, okay, here's what the future is.
Yeah.
They're building the future, really. So I've always just thought that was interesting, and especially reading that Deep Work book really pushed me into thinking that way.
I like that a lot, personally.
It's like Tim Ferriss, I think that's who wrote the book. He wrote a book, 4-Hour Work Week, where he's like, I became an entrepreneur and I started working 4 hours a week. And he just gets everything he needs to get done in 4 hours, because he sets up passive income streams where everything's working for him in the background. So he sits down, does the admin stuff 4 hours a week, and then he's like hanging out in the Bahamas or something,
Yeah.
So I think this like, we just need to reshift our mindset of how we think about work and deep work. And
yeah. And with the understanding that, like, in the beginning, it takes a lot more work, but like, with the power we have to deep work, to like focus and take distractions away, if we applied that to like busting our butts for like a couple years, especially early on, like us, and we worked full time, full focus, like, think of what we could get done,
Yeah.
I mean, you take 1 year and basically get like 2 years or 3 years worth of work done.
And I think if this shift happened, like, we would learn from an early age how to be more productive in less time.
Well,
Yeah.
Because society would change as a whole.
Yes, exactly. Look, it just blew my mind. Think about it. What happens when we get older? More of our time is taken away. We have kids.
Oh, yeah.
We have work. Then we have the wife we have to spend time with. At the end of the day, we only get like 1 hour to ourselves. So then your brain, it like has to like survive. So it adapts and figures a way out to survive where you have less time. And so now that 4 hours you needed for like me time is down to 1. So you do whatever you did in 4 hours in 1, but it has the same, like, anyways, the point is, yes, if we can take that and put it in our 20s and not have that same thing, like if we can figure out how our brains change when we're stressed out and we have no time into like functioning adults, and put that back in our 20s selves when we do have time, then we'll have even more time, and we can multiply it and it exponentially grows.
So I guess what you're saying is, like, as we get older, we actually get good at what Clayton's talking about. We just don't realize
we don't get good at it. We're forced to.
Yeah.
We're literally forced to change.
Yeah.
Like Clayton said, if we have something that forces us to change, motivates us, stresses us out, most of us change, adapt.
And another way to go about this is, like, you might still have people who aren't able to get their work done. So, like, an employer could even be like, come in at 8 o'clock, leave whenever you get your work done. So maybe you got one task on the menu today, and for some people it might take them 8 hours, and some people might take them 1. But if the employer is okay with like just letting you leave whenever you're done with your task,
See, that would be awesome.
That's a motivator to like get better, because I want. Bill's been leaving every day this week at 11 o'clock. I want to leave at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like I better
Yeah.
get better at what I'm doing.
See, that would make more sense to have those people on salary.
And paying those two people the same amount of money, like that's a big motivator and a big incentive.
Yeah. Well, that's life. Getting paid less for doing more. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always somebody getting paid
I mean,
more
I
than
guess
you.
that's just my mindset too, because like I have a really entrepreneurial mindset where I can imagine a day where I do the 4-hour work week thing, but like I always want to be working full time, like 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
But like all my hobbies and on
Yeah.
entrepreneurial ventures and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing that I'm really excited about, and you know, I think we're all really motivated and passionate people. But there might be people out there that are like, no, I would rather have a 40-hour work week because I want to be, like, I'm ready. I'm used to this. You know what I mean?
Some people escape with work. Which
Yep,
is
that's
good.
true.
Yeah.
They get to where I was talking about, where they get stressed out by life, and they're just like, they go to work to get escape.
And then there's some industries that literally, you have to work around the clock, 8
Yeah.
hours a day, whatever.
Like security.
Yeah, like, so I mean, that's another weird thing
Like
about
fast
it.
food.
It's
Yeah.
like, how can you change some careers while others stay the same? Like,
well,
our
there-
whole society's been built around the schedule.
well, look at what we talked about 3 weeks ago. The jobs that require people to work 8 hours are turning mechanical.
Well, but like, think about like a teacher. You have to work 8 hours. I mean, you have to have kids at school
That's
8 hours a
basically
day.
a babysitting job, though. If you think
Oh,
about
not
it.
No,
Really?
you cannot. Teachers work their
No, I
heads
know,
off.
I know they do, but like, it gets to a certain point where people can almost teach themselves.
Teachers deserve respect.
I don't.
No, I know.
We're never gonna
I'm
get to
playing
a
devil's
spot.
advocate,
We're
okay?
never, we're
I
never
just-
I've
gonna
been
get to
doing
a
it the whole
spot.
podcast, but y'all need to know that. Like,
We'll never get to a
there's gotta be
spot where kids
somebody.
are gonna teach themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
No, like so, like that example, like that the whole school industry or whatever, that has to say the same.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, and I'm thinking about it on my end. Like, I want to go into
Wait, but
programming and
whoa,
web
whoa, whoa.
development and stuff. So like, that's the type of thing that you can do more work in less time.
But does it have to change? Because look at what we did in college.
What do you mean? Does it have to change?
Let's go back to what you're saying. The whole teacher thing doesn't have to change. But what if it did? What if it went from
There's no way.
your kid being in 8 hours of school every day? Dude, that goes back to the 8 hours thing.
But they're
it's
they're
all connected.
kids, man. Like,
I know, but the whole school system being in 8 hours a day, the parents being at 8 hours, it's connected because they need somewhere where their kids can stay while they're at work working 8 hours, and that's why school's 8 hours. But
not
if we
necessarily.
pretend, if the adults, let's just pretend that adults don't work for 8 hours a day, they work for 4 hours a day, and the kids, I feel like, wouldn't have to go to school for 8 hours. They'd go to school for 4. They'd learn just as much in
no,
4 hours.
you
as they would
can't
8.
learn. You can't have a 14-year-old kid learn the same in 4 hours and 8 hours. It's just not gonna work.
Well, some do though. Some learn more.
Yeah,
than
some of them
others.
do, but when we're talking about public education, we have to cater to everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so we've got to give people an opportunity to be there those 8 hours. But that just gives parents, that would kind of defeat the purpose. If you get off of work at 12 p.m. every day and you got to go pick up your kids from school, that defeats the purpose. But if you're working a 4-hour day and then from 12 to 4, your kid's still at school, so you have that time, your hands are free.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's all about planning, right?
You just gotta think about. Yeah.
This is a big tangent.
Trying to get in your people's minds and make you think. But think about that. Then the teachers would get jealous, and there would be less
Not
teachers.
necessarily. Well, no. Here's the thing that needs to happen in the whole education system, anyways. Is
More money, paid more.
no. It's
I'm
not
not-
about
no,
money. It's
they-
never about money.
More
It's about passion.
passion.
When it comes to teaching, the only good teachers are passionate about their job.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame them because some teachers just get overwhelmed.
Well, I mean, I don't blame them.
Stress.
They have really hard jobs, but I mean, if you've got a really passionate teacher who's good at their job, I don't think they're gonna mind having an 8-hour workday, doing what they love.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I feel like they all start off with passion. Every single one of the teachers do, because you
Eh.
have to have passion.
Eh.
Why? Why are you
I
saying
know,
like?
I know some teachers who it's my first year teaching. They don't have passion. They
Well,
just fell into it.
They fell into it because, I mean, well, honestly, yeah, you can.
I'm
fall
just
into
saying. I had a lot of teachers who didn't have that passion.
Oh, I remember. We had a bunch of teachers like that.
I don't know. Maybe money does have a little bit to do with it, because there are some people who are passionate about teaching but don't go into it because there's no money in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a topic
I would be
for a different
passionate
day.
about teaching if I could get 80,000 a year.
But see, that's the thing. Why does the money matter to you?
Dude, of course it would matter.
Why though? Like if it's like your goal in life to help children and teach kids, like, why does making? I mean, I understand that we have to have money to live, but why do you need an excess of money? Like,
It's
if you
not
can,
about
if you can
excess.
live on,
Dude, it goes back to what you're saying. We know that we can't have 4 hours of work, and then it all goes back to what we were talking about. We know that we have 8 hours of work. We can't change it. Our dream is to change it to 4 hours. Well, we can't. We have 8 hours. So we use the resources we have after those 8 hours on stuff that we'd like to do, improve ourselves. And the more money we have, the easier it is for us to use resources like money to better ourselves. So if you're a teacher getting paid $20,000 a year, and you have 4 kids and a husband, and you're only getting $20,000 a year, you're gonna have a hard time still being passionate about being a teacher and having to live outside of that.
they don't get paid 20 a year. What they get paid, the money they get paid is like. I mean, I don't know.
No, I know. I'm just saying, if let's pretend that they got paid 20 a year, who would be teachers? Because you literally could not, like, I feel like people, if it gets to where a certain amount of money, you can't do it. You just can't. You shouldn't do it.
I know that. But I think the amount of money is like the government's been like, this is the perfect amount where we can pay them the least amount of money, but they can still live on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
Like, if you want to be happy, you have to.
But
have
I also think, like, there's not a scenario where, okay, let's raise every teacher's salary by $10,000. Okay, now all teachers are happy.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't exist, because, like, say like the government one day just sent you a $10,000 check in the mail, and they sent that to everybody in the whole entire United States. That doesn't automatically make everybody more passionate and more happy in life. Like,
No, it doesn't. But it gives those people that are passionate a relief, because
I think if teachers got paid more, then there'd be a lot of less unpassionate teachers, because
Yeah.
people would just do it for the money.
Well, I wouldn't even think it's
that's why it's got to be a balance. Like, if you pay teachers $80,000, you have people
that aren't even.
you don't need to be
teachers.
teaching. Like, they suck
Yeah.
at their job. They're like, oh, I'm doing it for the money. So then, but if you pay them
Yeah.
too less, like, you have the thing where, like, some teachers that are passionate aren't gonna be a teacher because they don't get paid enough. So you got to find that balance of, like, you know what I mean? Like, why are we talking about this? We're supposed to be talking about planning, dude. But I mean, we've been talking too long, so we need to wrap it up.
We just get rambly.
We get rambly. Sometimes you say things that
I go
are,
rants.
are incomprehensible.
You remember what Jay was saying about Joe Rogan? That dude was
No.
like, "I'm sorry, I'm retarded." You know, like that.
No.
Oh, that guy was ranting.
What guy?
Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name.
This is a tangent.
Like
Another tangent.
Okay, never mind, forget it. But this guy was on Joe Rogan. And he was just ranting for like, he was just like, and then he's like, "You're ranting again." He's like, "Oh, sorry, Joe. I get all crazy." But like, never mind.
Okay.
It was funny, but never mind.
Okay.
Just forget it.
Cool, man.
God, I can't believe you can't remember that.
Dude, you gotta stop listening to Joe Rogan.
Dude,
He's shaping your brain into something it shouldn't be shaped into.
I don't listen to him. I listen to his people that he brings on.
Well, you shouldn't listen to that either.
Well, it's what?
I personally think Joe Rogan is ruining our society.
Why?
Because it's just a bunch of... Never mind. I'm not going to get into that.
I just listened to Kevin Hart the other day. That's
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
like funny people.
If I had him in my ears, I would go crazy.
If The Rock comes on, though, that's why I can't wait. I can't wait till The Rock comes on Joe Rogan. Oh, man.
All right, let's wrap this up because we've been going crazy for the past 25 minutes about stuff.
Yeah, so plan. Learn how to plan. Think about what's important to you in the next year, where you want to be. Set goals. We did a podcast on goals. Go back and listen to that. And then,
Did we?
yeah, we setting goals.
I can't remember that.
We've done 20 episodes.
It's getting... Yeah, we've had so many episodes
Yeah.
at this point.
We've had 21
Oh,
episodes.
Alex Jones. That's what it is.
I knew his name, but I wasn't going to say it. I don't want that on our podcast.
What?
He's a crazy man that doesn't.
Yeah, he's crazy. I was just making a joke about it.
Anyways,
Gosh.
I hope that we have a video this week. We haven't mentioned it thus far, but we've been trying to video the podcast for the past 3 weeks or past 2 weeks, and we've had technical difficulties. So if you're seeing this, what's up? Hey. You're probably just on a podcasting app and you don't care about that. So
Well, head over to YouTube because yesterday we just posted a video, so you can watch that while you watch us.
That's true. That's true. With our new schedule, I'm all flipped around. So if you are on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell.
Wait, can we shout out our first comment?
Yeah, sure.
All right, you shout it out.
Shout out to CT for commenting on our... What video did he comment on?
I think it was the books one.
The books one.
Yeah. Shout out to CT who left the first comment on any of our stuff. Do it again. Maybe this time we'll respond.
Yeah, we didn't respond, which that's horrible.
He wasn't the first commenter, but he is the first genuine person.
Who was the first commenter?
Like random Instagram people.
On our YouTube video?
Oh, YouTube. Oh, it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
We're talking about YouTube, bro.
Sorry, I was not paying enough attention.
But anyways, thanks, CT. I think everybody should follow your lead and comment on our videos.
Wait, does he have an Instagram?
No.
He should get one. Get one, CT. An Instagram.
Why?
I don't know. So we can follow him on his Instagram.
Okay.
This is another tangent.
If you're on a podcast app, hit subscribe. Then you'll be notified every week when we upload a new podcast thing. And go on Twitter, go on Instagram, comment.
Facebook.
Or Facebook, do the things, talk to us, because...
It doesn't hurt you to like us.
If you're not CT, we'll talk back to you. But if you are CT, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll get a system in place and plan who's gonna comment if that when that comes right. Because I think we all just assumed each other would comment. That's what I did anyway. I was like, Clayton will comment.
See, we'd never gotten a comment before, so it just had never occurred to me to actually check.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
I didn't even think we were getting YouTube comments. Like I didn't even think about that.
Well, we've done one, so
yeah, nice.
Cool.
See, I got a notification on my phone when somebody commented on a video on my channel. I don't know where that notification went for our channel, but...
What about Facebook? Does anybody...
What about Facebook, dude?
We only post once a week, so I mean...
Okay.
I'm connected to it. You guys can be. You just have to click accept, but this doesn't need to be on the air.
Okay.
Half of the crap we talk about probably don't need to be on the air.
Why? Why
That's
does it
what
matter?
we're talking about. Is like deep. We should do a deep work podcast and finish in 5 minutes, and just like have it
talk
boiled
about
down.
exactly what we're supposed to be talking about for 5 minutes.
But that's not conversation.
Hopefully that's what our videos and blog
Yeah.
posts will be more. There'll be more, like, we're not going to be on tangents and those and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go give us a review. I don't know, do the internet things that you're supposed to do when you like content.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to say it.
Word.
Yeah, well,
Thanks for listening.
thanks for listening. We will hope you enjoy our season 2 shenanigans, and we will we will talk to you in your ears next week.
In yours.
3, 2, 1.
Godspeed and good conversations. Thanks for listening to this episode of Young Adult's Guide to Planet Earth. We hope you enjoyed the conversation.
If you want to join the conversation, make sure to join us on Twitter at Young Adult Guide and Instagram at Young Adults Guide.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell if you want to be notified. Like, comment, and join the conversation.
Talk to you next week.